Hello students, I am S. Nirmala, Assistant Professor of Statistics. Today's my topic is Vital Statistics, and this is for semester 5 students and this topic is in paper 5. Vital Statistics. Vital statistics is nothing but important statistics. What do you think are the important statistics? Every statistics is important. Every statistics, whatever we have is important. But what is this chapter's name itself is vital statistics. As per the definition of statistics, statistics is a science of data collection, data tabulation, data analysis, and data interpretation. If you have any data, with that data, if you collect the data, if you tabulate the data, if you analyze the data and give certain inferences about that data, then we say that statistics is done. So what are the important statistics? The statistics which belongs to the birth, death, marriages, divorce, migration, and immigration. These statistics are called important statistics. Now, in the slide, if you see, they have defined statistics is the study of the collection, organization, analysis, and interpretation of the data. Vital statistics is defined as that branch of biometry which deals with data and the law of human mortality, morbidity, and demography. Vital events are collected, compiled, and the resulting statistics are known as vital statistics. Biometry is the science and technology of measuring and analyzing biological data. Now, sources of population data. Now, where do we get this data of population? There are many ways of getting data, but most important one which are mentioned are census, registration of vital events, sample registration survey, institutional records. Now, what is census? United Nations defines census as the total process of collecting, compiling, and publishing demographic, economic, and social data pertaining at a specified time or times to all persons in a country or delimited territory. Census comes from the Latin word censare, means value or tax. It is taken every 10 years. Important source of health information. Methods. Census means it is a collection of population. That means collection of the data. Every individual in the population, they will take the data of every individual. That is individual regarding their demographic, economic, and social data pertaining to a particular period of time. So from north to south, east to west, each and every individual information is collected and compiled and published. These data is used for the development of the country economically, financially, socially. The government will use and introduce the programs which will benefit the various sectors of people, health-wise, subsidies, whatnot. Everything is calculated by utilizing the census data. This census is taken every 10 years interval it will be taken. And the important source for the health information, in which area, what sort of diseases are prevailing, and in which part of the country, like example, Bhopal gas tragedy. It has been about 30 years, still there are cases who are affected by that gas leakage. So the government will have those detailed data in census. Methods of census taking. First method is de facto census. The method is to list all persons present in the household or other living quarters at midnight of the census day, or all who passed the night there. That means on the day of census, if somebody comes to take your census, all the individuals of the household, if there is a quarter number 1, in that quarter, if there are 6 people living, all of them survive the night on which day the census has happened. There are, in that household, if there are 6 people, 6 people's each individual information they will take and they will record it. And after that, in that house, on that particular day when the census was happening, a relative might have come, but the census will not be taken to that relative because he does not belong to that quarter. The second one is de jure census. All the persons who usually live in the household are listed on the form whether they are present or not. Visitors who have a usual residence elsewhere are excluded from the list but are counted at their usual residence. That means no person is excuse me, no person's information is overlapped. The information always will be disjoint. If I belongs to household 200, my information will be in the household 200 only. My information, if I was there on a particular day of census, if I was there on the 50th household, because they happen to be my relatives, there my information will not be noted down because my information has to come from the household 200 only. So these two methods of census are taken place where there won't be any overlapping information, and all the information of each and every individual information is recorded once and they are disjoint. No overlapping happens. Uses of census. In the primary sources of basic national population, data required by administrative process and many aspects of economic and social planning and research. The census collects the data and keeps in the bounded book in the government office. Now, whatever administrative purpose, for example, if I want to issue white ration cards to BPL people, then I will go to the census records. With those census records, I'll determine the families whose annual income is below 1 lakh, and then I will start giving my white ration card to the people whose annual income is less than 1 lakh. So where do I get this data? I get this data from the census. And if I want to do some social developmental plan, like let us say Kalyana Lakshmi. Now, to whom the Kalyana Lakshmi will be given? To the families whose earning is less than 50,000 per annum or less than some amount they might have mentioned. So the census may all the families whose family income for annum will be less than 50,000 are eligible for the scheme, developmental scheme Kalyana Lakshmi in Telangana. So the information, the data authentically will come from the census. That is the reason why census is very useful for the government to implement its developmental plan, its subsidies, etc. to the people. Census provide information on trends in the population growth, change in age and sex structure, cause of fertility, mortality, migration, and urbanization. From the census, we would know how is the population growth is. Now, whether the growth is exponential, whether the growth has slowed down, whether the growth is constant for certain period. So this change in the population growth can be drawn from the census. Change in the age and sex structure. Now, in 70s, the ratio between boys and girls would be almost this way, that way. But after late 80s and 90s, the girl child ratio has come down to 900 to 1000. In some state, it was 850 to 1000. So it is alarming state. With the census only we could find out what is the sex ratio. So this is also useful. What are the measures we have to take to control the female feticitis? So all these things we can know. Census is useful for estimating, calculating birth and death rates. So we will calculate birth and death rate from the census only. Census provides information on changes in national, occupational and industrial composition. After World War II, England was like industrialization was a boom after World War II. But after some 50 to 60 years later, the industrialization has took over by some other thing like the computers. No, now it is the computer age. Next, after 10-15 years, something else might have taken shape. So these are all, we will see it in the census. Religion, language, caste, compositions from census we can get. Analysis of economic development. So what economic development is happening in which country can be seen in the census and we can analyze that. Future trends of the population growth are also being seen. Census will be used for estimating school-going population, military and economic manpower also. Census will tell future growth of cities and requirement of food, water, housing and health services. Everything is, whatever changes happens 10 years, we can see it in the census. We can estimate what will be our future after 5-6 years or 10 years. Thus, census is contributing to a revolutionary expansion of global economic, sociological, and demographic knowledge. From census, we can get global economic, sociological, and demographic knowledge. Now, after census, we can find out analysis of the data. Census is nothing but a data. To what we analyze, measure of population. Now, if I want to measure the population, write at 2021, what will be my population, or 2020 August 3rd May, what is my population? Then with the formula shown on the screen, that is PT is equals to PO plus B minus D plus I minus E, where PT is nothing but total population at present time and PO is initial population at last census. and then B minus D is total births minus total deaths, plus I minus E is nothing but immigrants minus emigrants. So with this help of this formula, we can see that at particular place, at particular time, this is the population of the region. Then geometric progression method. This is the second method where we use the formula Pt is equals to P0 into 1 plus R to the power of T. R is equals to Pt by P0 whole power 1 by T minus 1, where R is the growth rate and T is time in years. Rate and ratios. Rate of the vital event is defined as the ratio of the total number of occurrence of the events to the total number of persons exposed to the risk of occurrence of that event. That is child-women ratio. The number of children below the age of 5 divided by total female population within the age group 15 to 49. Why not whole female population? We want to know child-women ratio. So child-women ratio means it is mother and child ka ratio. Now that happens only to the women who is between the age of 15 to 49, that is reproductive age. So the females who are exposed to this age group 15 to 49 are taken as your denominator. To the numerator, the number of children below 5 years, we will get child-women ratio. Now, measurement of mortality. Crude death rate. So, in an area, let us say in India, total number of deaths divided by total number of population of India. So, this is the crude way of giving the death rate. And the next type of death rate is age-specific death rate. Here, it won't be crude, like so many people died on so much of population. But age-specific, it will give you age-specific or sex-specific, anything. Women population within the age group of 15 to 49, what is the death rate? Here we are specifying the age, the sex, and we are finding the deaths in that particular age group. That's why we call it as age-specific death rate. Number of deaths at the age of 15 to 49 divided by total number of female population in the age group of 15 to 49 into 1000. Crude rate is based on the total population, while a specific rate is based on the age, sex, or any causes, etc. Crude birth rate. This is also same. Total number of births in that particular year divided by total population into 1000. General fertility rate. Total number of births in a year by average number of women in reproductive age group. If you are specifying the reproductive age group of the female and that would be your numerator, then that would be your denominator, then the number of birth happens in that year. If it is your numerator, then we call it as general fertility rate. In the denominator, we are specifying the reproduction age group females only. Age-specific fertility rate. Number of births to the women aged X by number of women aged X. Useful for family planning program point of view. That is, now, seeing the census, if I see that the reproduction is happening after 30 years also, let us see. That means either the fertility has shifted to 30 years also, otherwise they are postponing their reproduction process towards 30 late 20s and 30, or they are continuously reproducing children after children and increasing the population. What is the cause? We can see, and if it is they are simply increasing the population, then the government will intervene and then it will introduce family planning schemes to the people who are above 30, and they will do the family planning. This has happened in India. Age-specific fertility rate. Age-specific marital fertility rate. That means number of births to women aged X by number of married women age. As I said, if you shift your fertility to 30 years and above, that means all the youngsters are not married before getting 30. After 30, they are getting married, and then they are started reproducing. That means there is a shift, age-specific shift. Total fertility rate. The physical meaning of total fertility rate is that it is the expected number of children that a woman will bear in her lifetime, passing through the reproductive age and bearing children according to fixed schedule of fertility. Gross reproduction rate is a measure of population which describes the rate of increase of population over a generation. Defined as the average number of daughters among birth cohort of women which they will bear in their lifetime, passing through the reproductive age and bearing children according to fixed schedule of fertility, if they survive to the end of childbearing period. That means if we take a cohort, that is a group of children born on, let us say, January 1st, 2020. And if we take all the data of the children who are born on 2020 January 1st, that is called a group cohort. In that cohort, if we have, let us say, more than half girl child, then these girl childs after 15 years, after 2035, they will be eligible to bear the children, and their reproduction age starts and they starts reproducing. Then we can find the gross reproduction rate of 2035. Net reproduction rate, measure of number of daughters which are cohort of girl infant will bear as growth to adulthood and pass through the child period, provided that as they pass through each age, they bear children at the rate indicated by a current schedule of age-specific fertility rate, and from birth till the end of the childbearing period, they are subjected to mortality as per the life table. Now we have seen census, we have defined census, we know from where we can get the census, where we register the information which we want, and we go to household and get all the information about the individuals staying in that house. So that is done by the government department by deploying all government school teachers of that village to get the information from each household and from each household of each individual information in a scheduled form. There will be at least 7 to 8 schedules, and each schedule will consist of some 15 to 20 questions. They will go to each house and take down the information according to the schedules and take down, and they consolidate it and submit back to the government. What this annexures will consist of, I will give you a broad idea. So A1 item covered in the Schedule 1 of the 2001 Population Census, Questionnaire Schedule 1 household informations are taken as type of house unit occupied by the household. They come to your doorstep. One of the teacher comes to your doorstep and asks, is this house yours? You say, yes. What type of house is this? Is it RCC? Is it asbestos? Is it hut? Or is it what type of household they'll ask? Tenure of the housing unit. How old is your house? Are you living from 10 years back, 15 years back? They will be asked. Whether the land operating for, whether do you have any agricultural land? If you have agricultural land, on whose name it is. If you have agricultural land and it is on your father's name, do you have any livestock, that is cattle or poultry do you have? Do you have cows? How many cows you have? How many buffaloes you have? Do you have hens? Do you have poultry? And on whose name it is? And who gets the financial benefit? Who is the owner of your farmland? Everything they'll be asking. Whether you run a small scale industry, whether your mother is a Dwakra member, whether your mother is self-employed, they will take the information and they'll ask, all are present in the house. If you are 6 members in the family, are all stay in this house? No, my sister studies at IIT Delhi. That means what? My sister will not stay in the house, but she studies, and she studies in a premium institute, IIT Delhi. So all the information has gone, your information has gone, your sister's information has gone, and my brother works at Ahmedabad in a cloth factory. So that information has gone. So each and everybody's age, sex, about their occupation, income, duration, reasons, everything will go into the schedule. And individual information like age, caste, religion, relation to the household, and language, mother tongue, second language, citizenship, type of disability, household, these are individual information. And in item 2, schedule 2, they'll ask questions regarding household. Do you have drinking water connection? Do you have gas or biogas? Or do you cook on sticks? Or do you use cow dung? So what is your way of mode of cooking? And toilet facility is there? Whether any death in the household? If there is there any illness, or what is the age of the person who died, and what is the cost for the death, level of education in the house, whether if there are 4 children, are 4 children attending schools? If they are not attending, what are they doing? Are they doing any of daily wages? Are they child laborers? What are their ages? Everything is recorded this way. And individual information may age, place of birth, stay at this place. For suppose I belong to some place at Nalgonda, but my job purpose I have come and I'm staying here. So from how many years I'm staying in Hyderabad? Let us say I'm staying in Hyderabad from 20 years. My children are born here and they are brought up here. They go to school here. So my childcare information would be all Hyderabad related, and my information would be my schooling, my college, my home. It will be at the Nalgonda. So this is how it's all taken care of. And in this detail, the census will happen for 10 years, and it is bounded and kept in an organization of the government where they take the information and use this whenever they want, whoever they want, and for the development of all the informations and all. With this, I conclude this. If you have any doubts, please do come to me. I will try to help you out. Thank you.